The date in the title is incorrect. It
Why,
says
you say
August.
that once we're live, so now everybody knows?
Yeah.
Could have used Discord. Oh, it's 9:25:25. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. And we're going, nope, go back to the thing. Go back. You can do it after I do it. Hey, everybody, we're about to do a show. It's Calling It Now, and you can call it now. And if you're a Republican and you think that you can own us, we would like to talk to you. We do know that your party, at least the values of the people and your ancestors, generally are such that you like to own people. But this time, I mean as a metaphor. Y'all are talking so loud all the time in the threads and the chats and the comment sections, and I just suspect that if you were to come here that you would not be able to hold your own. But we will see today if you actually are as brave as you say. Calling it now, it's calling it now, it's calling it now. Fade to the show. What
Yay.
that's, wonderful. Well, we still don't have an intro and an outro. But we will. There's just lots of stuff to do. Hey, everybody, how are you? This is Calling It Now from the line. I'm Jimmy Snow, and this with me is...
I'm Luxander. Hello.
I mostly just wanted to get an idea of how big the delay between the two of us is, but then also there's the delay of, oh, he's expecting me to talk now. And so really we've gotten no data.
I feel like I was pretty on it with
Good.
I was ready,
In your end, it felt rhythmic.
It did.
So
yes.
Any lack of rhythm was my
delay,
intro
baby.
song. Hi, everybody. Tomorrow or Saturday at patreon.com/calltheline. Let me take a little swig of my drink here. Will be the next LineCon Online Live featuring myself, Arden Hart, giving a talk about, I believe, transphobia, and Justin from Deconstruction Zone giving a speech on Bible blunders, following which, so we will each be giving those little speeches, and then we will have an hour-long Q&A with the three of us. So if you want to do that, the LineCon Online Live, we instead of doing a formal ticketing system, it's just anybody who's on our $15 and above tier can attend LineCon Online Live. So go to patreon.com/calltheline and make sure that you are on that $15 and above tier. What's new with you?
I mean, I have this new job. It's been pretty great though, so I don't have anything to complain about. I feel like the training period was pretty short, but I have like a good handle on it, so everything's working out pretty good. If nobody knows in the chat, I'm a producer here now.
Woo! Also, is the training period short? Because you're still kind of in training in that no one's gonna be mad at you if you make a mistake still. But now it's mostly just that we supervise you getting started a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Because it is.
I guess now that we're getting close to the end of the first 2 weeks. So yeah, I guess by the end of the first 2 weeks of training, it just felt a little bit like, oh, it's just because all the stuff that you have to do on the back end is a lot of stuff. And I have ADHD, and sometimes it's perfect when you have a lot of things to pay attention to. But once you learn that, it can be more, it's rhythmic, but for a bit it felt a little overwhelming, and then suddenly it just makes sense. So now I'm at I'm get out of here. Don't supervise me. I know what I'm doing. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. It's kind of we've learned how to train by training also. It's just kind of easiest that way.
You get better at it. Yeah, I completely get that.
All right. So people, if you would like to call in and argue with us with we are a couple of leftist, trans-affirming, atheist, godless, anti-religion heathens who think that people should just bone if they wanna. You can call that number 33654-32101. Very easy to remember, 33654-32101, and we would love to talk to you about any of these things, including your own trans derangement syndrome. It would be, we're ready. We are ready.
You can even talk to a trans about your trans derangement syndrome. Tell me to my face what you think of me.
Yeah, do it.
How are you this week?
I'm sorry, setting text messages. I'm living. I'm existing. We had to skip a podcast this week because of technical issues, but that should be resolved. People who listen to The Line Has a Podcast knows there's been a whole saga of the battery in Alyssa's computer, which has now been solved not by a new battery, but actually a new computer, as the motherboard was starting to go. It turned out the battery didn't really need replacing, just a more supportive charger. But then it's, the whole thing's a whole thing. Anyway, that's the saga over there. Hey, people, by the way, you can share this out. And if you are watching right now, we're ready to take your call. 33654-32101. Also, if you're watching and you have a friend who's like, you should call in, do it. Do it. Yeah. We should do it. We should do that. You talk for a minute while I reply to these work messages and encourage people to call in. Talk to a real trans person and a fake trans. No, I'm not a trans person, as far as you know, anyway. Do it. Talk about Alex Jones thinks he's somehow owning the libs by where he is now sporting a Hitler mustache. As a way, not even joking, as a way to go to Threads. You can see the picture if you want to see. I put it on my Threads.
Oh, I don't have a Threads account. Oh, no.
Just type in Alex Jones mustache and you'll get there. He did a whole show in it. And he was saying like, I'm joining the Democratic Party, so I want them to be able to recognize me as one of their own. Meanwhile, it's like, brother, your people are the ones in all facets of power. They have all the power. So any issues you have with tyrannical government right now, it's coming from inside the house, you idiot.
Wait, so... He grew it himself. It's not like a sticker. That's his actual facial hair.
Because he had a goatee. He had that Satan goatee for a while, which I also thought was weird that nobody noticed that he looked like he had a stereotypical Satan goatee, which he has now trimmed down to merely a Hitler mustache.
Oh, I haven't seen the Satan goatee either. Man, I've just missed so much good Alex Jones news. Apparently, he's up there. He's out there really doing well. He seems like a fully well-adjusted man who's having a great time in life and seems to be fully functional in every way, shape, and form. Yeah, so it's a tragedy. I am trying to kind of create a greater separation in my life between like what I'm doing on the daily basis and like politics and stuff like that. So like I missed memes this week from like Trump's autism announcement and like this thing with Alex Jones. Like that is the one sad thing, I suppose, about making a choice for my mental health to be, just like compartmentalized away from all the drama all the time. Man, but I'm just missing out on the quality content. So sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I am too. I'm not actually. I wasn't actually listening. I was. Are
you still fully on social media paying attention every day, or are you missing things because you're taking healthy breaks?
You know what's funny is I started an anonymous Twitter, and I have to stop going on it because about a week in, I went, oh yeah, all the virtue signaling I did, which don't get me wrong, like there was legitimate reasons, but how loud I was about leaving Twitter. I'm a virtue signaler for a living. What was I going to do? Not tell anybody? And then Graham Shrekface. I don't know if you were around during that time, but Graham Hunchback of Notre Dame caught wind of me leaving and tried to like viral moment it or whatever, and he had attacked me back when I and so all these like my last days on Twitter were just getting floods of transphobes. Anyway, fucking Graham. Anyway. So I left Twitter, was very loud about it, and now I've created like a secret Twitter. So mostly I use it, and this is what I mostly need to use it for. Mostly I was using it to get out some of my anger and to go bully these assholes, because at a certain point it's like they don't get to just bully us completely and never. And I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at bullying when I'm actually doing that.
Well, you're funny, so that makes sense.
Thanks. I pay them. So what was Lex gonna say? Anyway, I pay almost.
It's the funniest motherfuckers that are mean, though. It's like that's the thing is to be a good bully, you have to be funny
and be genuinely funny. Because right now there's also a level of even if under Biden you had a trans set or whatever, at least you could pretend that trans people were getting rights under the Biden administration. They weren't. There was some token representation and some lip service, but you could at least pretend. It's never cool to be the person who still has, for example, a trans set with like right now, even if you're a transphobic comedian, like every time there's just such a difference when you watch the clips on, like you're going through YouTube shorts and some comedians like, I'm performing in Austin, so I have to do my 15-minute trans set now. And it's literally like they're going, and then the audience is laughing, and I'm like, I haven't found the punchline, and you can't even argue that trans people are in power. So this is the definition of like punching down. Like there's nothing interesting about this. There's no way to make this funny. And you're like, the way these trans people are oppressing us, and they're dressing up with their story hours, and they're laughing, and you're like, first of all, he hasn't hit a punchline yet, so why are you laughing? But second of all, how is this still your bit? How is it like, when has a comedian been good when they were just like, yeah, I'm talking on behalf of the people in power as opposed to against? There's just nothing. And there are even some like more conservative leaning comedians who have actually pointed this out, who are just like, guys, why would you be doing these bits right now? Like right now you're doing them. So it's funny how there's the people who are actually self-aware enough, people who like, I don't know who I want to specifically say, because they'll have said something dumb, but there's the people who are self-aware enough to see certain things. Even Joe Rogan recently seeing what happened to Jimmy Kimmel and being like, well, no, that's fucked up. He's self-aware enough about that, but not self-aware enough to not go like, well, I got to bring up another trans issue that's happening. These people are wild. They're absolutely silly. People, by the way, just a reminder, we have one screener, and right now it's also the producer. We're not trying to get a bunch of people to call in who agree with us and take up time from the screener to find out that we're not going to take you on the air. We'd like our screener to be able to hit the calls in and actually filter down. I know we've already lost one MAGA caller waiting in the screening room. So if you've got like a legitimate point of contention, a legitimate point of ignorance or disagreement, whatever it is, sure. Or you want to have a discussion even about something that we disagree on, you think you can give us some insight, that we want to talk to. People who are calling in to tell us like, attaboy, good job, whatever, don't bother. That phone number, 33654-321-01, 33654-321-01. Jimmy, can you give this to the Takis crew? I missed the show again from Caracal. Well, luckily we do a lot of stuff on profit share here. And because Luxander was on both shows, some member of the Takis crew, but absolutely will I not be taking my extremely complicated socialist accounting system that would make anyone with ADHD throw up if they look at it. I know, because it makes my girlfriend nauseous when she looks at it. How the system that works, it's a multi-layer coded thing to be able to go and grab everything and then make all the assessments. But for people who aren't aware, you can do what's called a super thanks comment after a show. You can go to the episode of Takis and put a comment, and it does do the exact same type of revenue sharing, where there's two levels of revenue share. There's revenue share with the host, and then there's revenue share with everybody who works here. So if you're ever wanting to like make sure it's specifically the people you are supporting a little bit more than everybody else, you want to put it on their shows. So Luxander will get a piece of that one, but I am 1000% not changing my accounting system for a single.
Not sharing any with Ben.
Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
Well, he
Josh
won the thing at the end anyway.
Josh said, I think I'd prefer if Jimmy kept doing the theme song live. I love it. I kind of like it too. So whatever intro we do, we'll probably have a graphic. But I would like to point out, despite the name of this channel, I won't always host even episodes of Calling It Now. I imagine I'll be on a lot of them. I'll be across a lot of them. But I think this channel will soon be up to 5 days a week as well, with some varying hosts. And I probably will only aim to host 2 to 3 of those. Right now doing 3. So yeah, okay, let's see what's happening.
El Monstro in the chat, you should call in. We have a number. It's 336-543-2101. You should call us. Tell me that to my face.
It's really, really easy. It's like so easy to remember. Okay. The first number is 6. Half of 6 is 3. So it just starts with 3 plus 3 is 6. And then just pretend it's a Tesla, it's a SpaceX countdown, an Elon Musk rocket countdown. So 3, 3, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. One rocket explodes. It's how that's the Musk countdown as opposed to NASA. I don't think Lex was listening. That was funny. I used it the other day. It got a chuckle.
Yeah, I was not listening. Sorry.
So a regular countdown for a ship would be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. but an Elon Musk countdown is 654-321-0, one rocket explodes.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Okay, let's start taking calls. Let's see. We're going to talk to Grace in Colorado. Grace, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. How are you? Grace, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello.
You don't hear Grace either, right?
Nope, I cannot hear anything.
All right. Well, 1 second, Grace. We're going to put you back in the queue in case it's our fault. Let's just check real quick and find out if it's our fault. So we did change production today. I'm not co-producing as I usually do. So there may be little bugs, but we'll fix it quickly. Let me just check real quick with William in Tennessee. William in Tennessee, can you hear us? William in Tennessee. Nope. All right. I got to go fix this. You keep talking to the people. I will be right back.
Someone was just asking me what I'm drinking. So I normally am not a 3-beverage ADHD person. Y'all are familiar maybe with this jokey stereotype. Usually I'm like a 2-beverage person. But so right now I have my water and I have my tea in my giant tea mug. This is a floral tea with like amaranth and jasmine flower and maybe marigold or something like that. Anyway, it's delicious. And then somebody was wondering what this is. This is my homemade kombucha. I have it's kind of like keeping a sourdough starter alive in your kitchen where you just like feed it every once in a while and then you make a new batch of kombucha. It's a fermented product. It has like a very, very tiny amount of alcohol in it. There's like, I don't really know if it's possible to show you, but there's like yeast schmutz in the bottom of here. Because yeah, it's a living culture of yeast and bacteria and it's delicious. But anyway, this show is about religion and politics. So let me say something. So trans people are great and the best, and we're the best
You are connected
forever.
as the host. Welcome.
We're connected as the host. There we go. So hopefully we're reconnecting to call-in studio. I'm excited to get some of these calls going because I just have been finding it really invigorating to have some conversations in the midst of all this like screwed up stuff that's happening. Like we should have more open dialogue. And something that I've been contemplating a lot recently is that I feel like I am capable of living in a country of people who disagree with me, but like the people who do not like trans people don't seem like they're willing to live in the country with me. Just like we have somebody who in chat right now is just saying rude things about trans people, like I feel like I should be able to exist as a person and that has nothing to do with you. And I guess the problem then is that y'all go, well, it isn't just that you're trying to live your own lives, you're trying to do it to the children. And then there's a whole other conversation that we're now having. So that's a nightmare. Hi, welcome back.
Hey, all right, let's do this again. Grace in Colorado,
Hi,
you are
can
on
you
the
hear
line.
me?
Yes, Grace, we hear you. Grace in Colorado, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. How are you, Grace?
Good. I've never watched the show before. I was just scrolling through live streams and I saw it and thought I'd call in.
Okay,
Cool.
and do you have a point of contention or what is the, what are you calling in on?
Yeah. So I was really curious. I used to be liberal. I worked for the Human Rights Campaign. I studied gender studies. And there were just two really big humps that, or like obstacles I have in understanding kind of with kind of the trans movement. And I like had two things I wanted to bring up and talk about. And the first one was like puberty blockers for kiddos. And I was curious kind of what your thoughts were on that, because I feel like it's really damaging to, I guess, not let kids go through puberty naturally how they were born. And I was curious, like, about having a conversation about that one in particular.
How old are you, Grace?
I'm 25.
Where did you study gender studies?
Yeah, I studied gender studies up in Colorado where I went to college. I did my thesis on queer Christianity. and the intersection of theology and queer identity.
Did you go to a Christian college?
No, I went to a public university.
So you have a degree, you did a thesis, so you have a master's, or you did a bachelor's thesis?
I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology. My minor was gender studies, and then I completed 2 honors programs that required a thesis.
Okay. And so your minor was in gender studies, but you aren't familiar with like the research on outcomes for trans people who do take puberty blockers, children, mitigating like risks, what the risk of one versus the other is. And are you just asking for us to educate you on those things, or are you saying you do know those things and you still contend that they are wrong?
Yeah, I do contend that it was wrong. And that was one of the things that while I was learning that I came up to, that it was not something I could totally get behind, and was really just like concerned about kind of the idea of not letting kids develop into like their own identity, I guess, which is interesting because it's almost the same argument on both sides. Is I want kids to be comfortable with themselves and in their identity, and sometimes it does take going through puberty and getting through that really awkward time in your life to settle into who you are. And then, that's an extremely broad category, settle into who you are. We're talking about gender identity, and gender identity is not like, you can't oversimplify by like, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? Are you really going to want to be an astronaut when you're older? These types of things that it's not even necessarily puberty specifically that is changing. It's just a part of that same development period of life. It's the overall, like actually interacting with the world, finding out what it entails to become an astronaut. Whereas a person's gender, much like their orientation, isn't something that is, similarly like, it's just not remotely similar. These are we're talking about parts of their core identity. Anyway, we have an actual trans person here. So rather than me, the cis person, speak on behalf of trans people, which I know would make a lot of
everybody loves that.
More comfortable. But I think, what's that?
I said everybody loves that.
Yeah. I know I do. Why don't you go ahead and take it from there, Lex?
I guess I applaud you for acknowledging upfront that this is your feeling. Like you said, that you feel like this is not appropriate to give children, I guess. So you're leading with your feelings. Like, I appreciate you being honest about that. As someone with a college degree, I hope that you can appreciate that there is a lot of like rigor that goes into determining what is the best medical outcome for a person. And like, I don't know how much like personal, like medical stuff you learn about with anthropology. Like, obviously you have to take a lot of different classes to get your degree, but we basically have determined through trying a bunch of different stuff, like what the best course of action is medically for trans people. And the best course of action is to provide them with age appropriate healthcare based on like their own stated well-being and like the well-being that you can observe. Like, so when you're saying like, oh, I just want teenagers to grow up, I just want them to grow up as themselves. Like, for trans teenagers, what that means in practice is that their quality of life is garbage. Like, when teenagers are being given gender affirming care, or when they're being assessed for this, the kinds of things that we see them struggling with are called activities of daily living, or ADLs, which means like they're not showering. Their grades are going down, and they have poor social interactions. They are not participating in tertiary activities at school. So, it really does feel like, I don't really know how to describe it. It just feels like very ill-informed and misguided. It just feels like you have never met a trans person or talked to a trans person, because we could all tell you that we wish we had the opportunity to just grow up as ourselves. But there was this idea that we all grew up with that was like, well, you'll just grow out of it. Or, we just suppressed it in the first place and never talked about it with our families. And And most adults who have transitioned will say some version of, I was robbed of my childhood because they couldn't grow up as themselves. So I just am really, I guess, curious where you have gotten this idea that, like, is it based in the idea that people will just grow out of it? Is that what it is?
Well, I guess, I mean, I want to preface and kind of address the assumption you made about me. I mean, I worked for the Human Rights Campaign for quite a while. I absolutely have relationships and people in my life who are transgender. That's, you know.
Have any of them told you what I just told you? Have any of them talked about their childhoods and how frustrating it was? Because there's a difference between like knowing somebody at work and like actually getting to know someone and knowing their personal story.
Absolutely. And that's where the ethnography just doesn't line up for me, is that I've seen kind of the perspectives of kids and exactly what you said is that they feel that they've kind of unlocked who they are and their life and gender affirming care. And I guess when you continue looking into these experiences, not everyone is happy later on after using puberty blockers, and there are quite a lot of people who are coming forward now who are not happy that
numbers, please.
They didn't feel.
Yes, I would like a percentage.
I would say the same thing. Go ahead.
Numbers, please.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about ethnography is that sometimes it's solely about the I guess what it is. It's solely about like the storytelling aspect. So.
Oh, gotcha. So we're not going to go with numbers. We're going to go with like how the story makes us feel. We just asked you for numbers, and you said it's kind of more about the story aspect. So you're hearing individuals, their stories are bugging you. That compared to like the data we do have, that you have a reduction in severe depression, somewhere around 60% amongst people, amongst trans kids who have access to puberty blockers, a reduction in suicidality and attempts of self-harm by somewhere in the 70%. All of those stories don't grasp you as much as that data connected to their story doesn't grasp you as much as the stories of the people who went through what is a largely much safer thing, puberty blockers, which for most people, if you change your mind, you will have had little to no side effects. That's the story versus the data. Would you like to present data against the data or just story against the data?
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up is because I had recently watched a documentary about detransitioners. But, I mean, we can talk about data. I pulled up a research article. It's on, let's see, the National Library of Medicine here, titled Mental Health Diagnoses Among Transgender Patients in a Clinical Setting. And there are a lot of co-occurring diagnoses, psychiatric diagnoses. And I'm wondering, like, why that is, like why
got it. So we're switching what data we're going to evaluate, and just so people at home can keep track, because this is how people like this argue, we're just going to ignore that thing we were just talking about to a thing that they have an article ready to go with, that they think this data will be more easy to defend because they kind of lost the other one. But if we transition smoothly, you won't notice they lost that last one. So now we're going to talk about the comorbidities, if you will, the co-occurrences of other mental health issues. And we're just going to transition very smoothly to that topic now because we're done with the one prior. Go on then.
Well, and the reason it was smooth is because I actually answered your question, is that I didn't
No. You certainly did not. In fact, I asked for data, and you said if you want to switch to data, and then you switch to a new proposition of different data that is going to talk about something completely different. So nice try.
Ethnography is considered data. Ethnography is considered data. Mm-hmm. And when you take
and multiple anecdotes are going to
it is a demonstration of ethnography.
Grace, you literally called it the story. Lux, you are currently muted if you are.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to. You switched the topic, Grace. Where I'm not taking issue with I'm taking issue with the data that you've presented in a response to I asked for different data. You said something about like regret rates or something, and I asked like what is the data behind that, because my data says that the regret rate for gender affirming care, healthcare, is like 1% or maybe even less than that. So I asked you for data on that, and then you switched to, let's talk about the data regarding, I don't know, some other subject. So that's like, if you have data around regret rates, that's what I'm curious about. And if you don't have data around regret rates, then I would like you to just be willing to admit that you feel like the regret rate is significant because you watched one single documentary.
I guess when we talk about data, ethnography is data. And when you are
That's not my problem.
The public,
you
Great,
started
go ahead and
talking
present
about
the actual data. Because if I just say a broad category, if I just say a broad category, you don't get to go like, and therefore somewhere within that broad category is my, so give us the specific data. Because you've so far, you've so far just said stories and watching stories of detransitioners.
Which is qualitative data. And it sounds like y'all want quantitative data from me, which
it
is
is
not
fun.
something
Grace, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you are quite Christian. What is your new party? You said you're no longer liberal. What are you?
I'm conservative.
Yeah. Yeah. So you used to be liberal. You used to care about trans people. Did you vote for Donald Trump?
No, I don't. I don't vote for Donald Trump.
Do you support the current conservative movement and their goals for trans people and queer people?
Not in its entirety.
So, for example, if the Supreme Court takes on the Obergefell ruling, what would you want to happen?
I'm not totally sure. I'm not even familiar with it. I'll be so honest.
Oh, you're not. You're not. So wait. You worked for who was it? You worked for again?
The Human Rights Campaign, the HRC.
The Human Rights Campaign, but Obergefell never came up.
I'm not totally. Could you spell it? I'm not
Obergefell,
totally sure
O-B-E-R-G. Let me make sure I get it right. If just so you know, it was the Supreme Court case that extended gay marriage rights in America. But it is hard to spell. I think it's O-B-E-R-G-F-E-L-L.
I have no problem with that at all. I wasn't working for
I know, but a person who worked for the Human Rights Campaign, who was an activist taking gender and queer studies and all of that kind of stuff, has never heard of Obergefell. If only I wish I had done what you did and just kept saying Obergefell and not actually continued and just say, like, but that is the evidence. I'll just give you a category and that is the evidence. It would have been just as useful of a debate thing. So anyway, you're now a conservative. What do you believe the laws surrounding trans access to healthcare should be?
My thought is that children under 18 should not have access to puberty blockers. And then once you pass a certain age threshold, that's
across the board,
have the opportunity. Yeah,
children under 18 across the board. Consider what you're saying right now, and make sure. Do you say definitively you've thought about this hard and across the board, no child under 18 should receive puberty blockers?
Well, I mean, obviously there are situations where people are medically, like, they need it. I do not believe
what are those situations?
I believe
what are those situations?
Affirming care.
What are those situations where somebody might need a puberty blocker?
Yeah, so I guess one of my friends, when they had their puberty blocker, it was specifically related to their height. I'm not totally sure exactly why that was, but there was a serious problem with their height and during their development. So they had to take
were they going to be too tall?
Yeah.
Okay. So and why wouldn't we want that child to get too tall?
Her parents were very into, like, dance and gymnastics, and I think that was one of the reasons.
So would you have given that child puberty blockers? Because I was wanting an example of, it sounds like you're saying that was a vanity reason. So if it's vanity, I assume you wouldn't have given that child. What's an example of a child you would give puberty blockers to?
I say in a situation where it is not categorized as gender affirming care.
Literally any situation except gender affirming care?
Right. By the way, gender affirming care. So most often it would be about precocious puberty. Do you know what that is? For a cis person, what precocious puberty is?
Yeah, like someone is going into puberty like earlier, so like maybe 10-year-olds sometimes for women.
No, a 10-year-old would not be considered having precocious puberty if they had puberty at 10. The average range of starting puberty for a woman would be from, is it 8 or 9 to 11 years old? So 10 would not be. It'd be like 5. You must have, I assume you've heard of the story of the Brazilian girl who was impregnated, raped by, I want to say it was her uncle. It was somebody related to her who then gave birth at 5 years old.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm. So what is the reasons we would stop early onset puberty, which is defined as before 8 for a boy and before 9 for a girl? What are the reasons we would do that?
I'm not sure, like in like a medical capacity, what all of the reasons would be for that.
So would you say that if it raises the risk to the child of having severe depression when they are older, developing the sort of things that come along that will lead to heightened chances of obesity, therefore a heightened chance of diabetes, if it would lead to higher chances of them developing certain cancers, because cancer is bad, because, cancer, I hope you know why cancer is bad. If there are risks to the well-being of the child for having precocious puberty, you would go ahead and give them the puberty blockers and let them have puberty at the right time for them and the right puberty for them, as opposed to withholding the precocious puberty for the cis kids.
I think that the way that I guess a lot of the things you brought up would be treated, for example, depression. Like, if you want to prevent depression, one of the arguments for gender affirming care, puberty blockers, is that depression can become a huge issue. I think that depression among kids is like, can be treated in so many other ways before you get to puberty blockers.
What are those ways?
Yeah, I mean, therapy, psychiatric treatment, inpatient treatment.
And what is the therapeutic and so amongst the world of psychiatry and therapy, what is their prescribed remedy for gender dysphoria?
Well, I know gender dysphoria isn't recognized anymore. I think that the definition's changed a bit, but I think that the
what would their treatment? What is the recommended treatment? What is agreed on in psychiatry? What do you do for a person, a transgender person, for their outcomes?
I mean, I believe they go into an assessment. They see their primary care doctor. They have conversations about what the next steps forward are.
I like that you do argue exactly like a conservative. You lived up to your new party. Transition would be it. And so basically what you're saying is, let's treat them by sending them to therapy and psychiatry, where they will identify, oh, this person needs access to transition care, but let's not actually give them access to the transition care. Let's just go send them to the place that will further confirm, which by the way is already going to be a part of that process, that they could use that care. The thing that you were also jumping around as far as why we would because the outcomes for a cis child, whether it is a large increase in depression or a large increase in the occurrence of certain cancers, the occurrence of certain illnesses that could lead to their life, it's essentially like, hey, it turns out that this is a very low risk, low chance of side effects way to make sure more of them grow up to be healthy adults. In summary, that's what we're doing. Cisgender kids get access to puberty blockers so that there's a higher chance that they become healthy adults. Trans kids, when given access to puberty blockers, raise their chances that they are going to get to be healthy adults. Now, in a society that hates them, there's still a lot of other barriers, but there is still clear data that that is what we're doing. Healthy adults for cis kids, but you would like not the healthy adults for trans kids because you have a conservative theory of maybe they could just go talk out being trans with a therapist.
Well, and a lot of mental illnesses can't even not reasonably, but ethically be diagnosed until someone is 18. For example, like schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar disorder.
Wonderful that
like,
none of those have anything to do with gender dysphoria or being trans or being queer, for example. I am a bisexual man. It's definitely something I suspected a long time before I hit puberty, and no one is having to diagnose me with that guy's hot.
I guess the commonality I was trying to branch between the four of them was that they all are like, you wait until the child has developed their brain, their hormones naturally until you can like give them medication, for example. Like a lot of psychiatric treatment, you will wait a bit in order to diagnose and then
right,
this is literally not true. There's literally a specific diagnosis of childhood bipolar. I know this because they were talking about having my sister assessed for it when she was younger. Like, so we do diagnose children with psychiatric disorders and treat them for it. We might not give them Prozac because Prozac can be quite dangerous for people who are younger, but like diagnosing them, getting them in therapy, like these are all things that we do. So I don't really know why being trans would be unique or different somehow.
Right, which it is beautiful that Grace, before you continue on with your comparisons, which are like, yeah, but some need to be wait until adulthood to be diagnosed. First, what diagnosis does a trans person need? Because you're saying gender dysphoria doesn't work, and you're comparing it to schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorders, bipolar. So what is the disease that you're saying they may need to wait till adulthood to be diagnosed with?
I think that, major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder are all things that can be found at the root and are correlated.
Right,
a lot
both of those can be diagnosed in children, but neither of those make you trans. I have generalized anxiety disorder. Super not trans over here.
Yeah, and when I speak about it, I mean in the context of a child or an adult being transgender.
Right. So what is the specific diagnosis that a person needs to wait till they are an adult to get access to puberty blockers, by which time it would be too late, thereby making it just removing gender affirming care to them? What is the diagnosis that you're saying we need to wait on? Because you gave two examples of things we don't wait on.
Yeah. So I guess once they would pass 18, it would be it may be categorized as a cosmetic procedure, in my opinion, where you are able to access these things after the age of 18.
So you're never going to tell us what the diagnosis is, because you're going to reveal that what you think is that it should be some sort of disorder of delusion, but you think adults should be allowed to get affirming care for delusions, and that's why you're avoiding answering the question directly.
Yes, and delusions, psychiatric delusions, those are not necessarily a diagnosis. Those are symptoms of diagnoses, including major depressive
but you won't
disorder.
say which diagnosis you're going to give them.
No, because I don't have someone in front of me that I can diagnose. I guess what my...
And also you're not qualified to do that.
And yet you think you're qualified to have a good opinion against the scientific world, against the psychiatric world, against what we understand the data points to. You believe your position is strong enough to recommend care. You have shown time after time in this call your general familiarity with not just trans issues, but queer issues in general is bottom of the barrel terrible, despite your alleged minor, which it's so bad I've begun questioning your minor and the truth of your introduction. I'm not kidding.
Gender studies can focus on women sometimes.
Sure.
You learned all the women gender studies and that's it.
That's right.
I'm honestly, my thesis won multiple awards. I presented in New Orleans at an honors conference.
Where can I find it, Grace? You want to email it to me after this? So you don't have to dox yourself to everybody. Where can I find it? You want to shoot me an email, contact at Q&A line with your thesis? I can look up all the awards and then maybe how it was received by queer people, whether or not it actually seems to be a person who is quote unquote liberal, which I'm not. Gross. I'm sorry that you've been a part of two gross political movements, conservatism and liberalism. Disgusting. But anyway, if it's actually consistent with what you say.
I'm happy to do that, of course.
Excellent. Contact at QAnaline.com.
Great. And there was one other thing I wanted to address there. And what makes me qualified to have an opinion is that I'm an individual, right? And we live in this country where everyone.
I didn't say you weren't qualified to have an opinion. I was saying you were unqualified to put value in it.
Or to diagnose someone is what I said.
Is valueless. It does not have value. Anyone can have an opinion, but yours was that you are going to express opinion contrary to data. And before people get ahead of it in the comments, I know how bad it looks. I promise you I did not pay Grace to make this call. I am too cheap. I do not spend money on stuff like that. There's too many people exactly like Grace for me to pay someone to be like this. Go on, Grace.
Well, and I mean, I think that's the reason I called is I do think that my kind of background is a little mixed where I did have, you know, both of these kind of sides of the coin where it really was the kind of transgender issue that pulled me away from the Liberal Party.
Disgusting, Grace, because first of all, liberal isn't actually a party. It's more of a position within. But you want to say it pulled you away from liberalism, but gross, because there are so many more issues at hand. And if you actually looked at, again, what of substance did the Bidens really do for trans people? They didn't put anything in a law in a way that actually guaranteed them any rights. We know because Donald Trump was able to come and fart them away with his own auto pen. Now, I bet you he actually showed up to sign that one. He's delighted to sign those executive orders. But so you're saying the thing that took you away from liberalism, which may have guaranteed better health care for all people, not just trans people, but you know, better access to health care, welfare, safety nets, hopefully a better approach to income inequality, though nowhere near adequate, attempts to make sure that less people are living in poverty because they actually have raised people out of poverty. Basically the poverty of all the cis kids, the healthcare of all the cis kids and all of that. But you're really upset. It really pulled you away from the liberals because less than 1% of kids might have had access to puberty blockers. And boy, that is really, really, so fuck everybody's kids. Because you don't want the trans kids to have puberty blockers.
It was definitely one of the main obstacles I came up against as I was learning is that I was kind of on track, like really on board. And then it kind of got to this point where, you know, there were all sorts of different split feminisms. And we were talking about them in class. I remember this pretty vividly. And I was shocked to hear that my opinion was, you know, after reading the literature was just, oh, I guess I'm a TERF. Like, is that what I am? I don't totally understand what it meant. And, you know, it was kind of a label that came on to me because I had these questions. And I had
there's that. It could be TERF or BHOLE, either one.
Yeah, so
you can look that one up later.
And that was kind of a major thing that popped up for me that was really, it was tough to juggle that and understand it. And I guess like what is y'all's like when you speak to someone like me and it's not in a debate setting. What is like the way that you would gently enter a conversation with someone, for example, me, who's kind of in this spot where I'm like, I agree with a lot of what I learned and a lot about, you know, loving others. I have no problem with the queer community. I've been a member of the queer community for a long time, and I just don't, it's just these particular or I guess procedure is not the right word, but in some cases procedures on kids and not letting them have a little bit more time to have their hormones.
Well, so
do you remember the beginning of your question? I just want to ask, do you actually remember the beginning of your question yet? Like, I feel like you've actually lost what question you were asking. Do you remember what the beginning of your question was there, Grace?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge barrier for me to hear the experiences of detransitioners.
No. What was the beginning of the question you were just asking?
this past one, or like how would you enter a conversation gently and in a persuasive way with someone from
I'm not Van Jones. Grace, I'm not Van Jones. Yeah. Van Jones can enter gracefully with whoever he wants, but I don't do. I don't. People who have gone like, I don't like trans people, so I've joined the fascists. I don't make any. Let me start this off gently. Let me gently approach. That's for different people. That's for kumbaya people like Van Jones. That's not me.
So okay, I guess then it's very difficult then to break through to people with the same opinion as me.
I'm kind of trying though, Grace, with you right now. Like I don't go out there and talk to people in the real world about this because this is my job and I get paid to be here and you all come to me and then I can receive your questions. So like I am trying to explain to you as a transgender person, the data, as well as my personal history and the personal histories of many trans people that I know of. And it feels like it's just sliding off of your brain. Like you have, like normally there are wrinkles in your brain and information like sinks into them. It feels like things are just sliding off because I'm trying to explain to you that being able to grow up as yourself as a trans person is really important and that we're not robbing anybody of their childhood by providing puberty blockers. And you keep saying, they need more time. They need more time. That's literally what puberty pausing medication is for. It's when they are in Tanner 2 stage of puberty, they get more time with the medical professionals, more time with their parents, more time integrated into the target gender social role. And then at the end of the 2 years, because you can't be on puberty blockers for longer than like 2 years. So maybe the kid's like 14 years old now. And then we have a question of like, okay, well, this kid has been insistent, persistent, and consistent the whole time. We have an endocrinologist, we have a psychologist, we might even have a psychiatrist. Both parents are on board. And the kid is leading those conversations and they're showing signs of improvement. Their grades are going up and everything. They're socially like blooming now. Everything is good. Then we can talk about introducing cross-sex hormones so that they can grow up alongside their peers so that they get to have a childhood. And it's like, it is really deeply offensive that you're able to empathize with fucking 3D transitioners and not the hundreds and thousands of trans people who deeply regret not being able to be themselves when they were young people.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess the lineup of that is all, how the story is told and having these, I guess in general on both sides, more propagandic, like nature of some of these documentaries, articles, that kind of thing. And
sure.
I guess when
I give that more of a
when I think
sure. Let's both sides that one.
I mean, Grace, I'm sure it was a deeply emotionally evocative. I'm sure it was very heart pulling in the strings and everything. I'm sure.
Yeah, Grace, we're actually gonna move on because I'm seeing the other callers that are here, and I actually think I've assessed that you weren't serious or honest from the beginning. I think that there's probably some information regarding your degree and supposed thesis that already is strange. I'm curious, what program, you said it was anthropology, which program required you to present a thesis for a bachelor's degree? Why were you required to?
Yeah, there were 2 honors programs as part of the Department of Honors Scholars and Leadership at my university. One of them was the Upper Division Honors Program, which requires a thesis. And then I did a survey among queer folks who also had religious beliefs, including Christianity, and then presented those findings at a conference, several conferences, and then as was required. And then ended up moving more into the ethnographic sector of my thesis. And that was a part of the honors program. And then I ended up getting additional credit.
So to be clear, when you were presenting all these things as part of your background and everything, your thesis on it being the overlap, the intersectionality of queer people and religious beliefs and upbringing, didn't include the study of that which improves the outcomes for people who are trans, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it was among students at the universities that I was surveying,
Right.
So, I
You
mean,
surveyed
off the
trans
top-
people. So I think what you're meaning to say is yes, what you just said, Jimmy, is entirely correct. I surveyed them about their religious beliefs, but was not actively a part of any kind of research that sought better outcomes for trans people.
Well, and spirituality in terms of like measuring that within the queer community, that was the focus. And when you do research, you have to be extremely niche so you can,
What's your favorite
you can get
food?
the data. Oh my gosh, I think spaghetti, but if I'm honest, it's going to be half-baked ice cream from Ben and Jerry's.
That is honest. I just wanted to get one direct response that was actually fully on target and on brand with what had just been asked of you. Grace, we're going to leave you there and maybe go back and watch the call, see the gaps in the things you're presenting before you call in again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
I did not pay that woman. Okay, before somebody says so, I did not. Oh, I'm excited for this one.
Gosh.
Let's do
Let's
Francis.
go.
Francis in the Netherlands. Francis, you are on the line with Luxander and Jimmy. Go ahead. I'm excited for your thesis. Present it in New Orleans.
How you doing, guys?
Just fine, Francis.
Doing okay.
Okay. Hi. Now listen, I'm a very tolerant guy.
Great.
I love gays. I love trans people. So don't take this the wrong way.
Well,
We
I'll
are
take it
pretty
however it
liberal.
is.
Yeah. However it is. So I'm a pretty tolerant guy. But now we
Great.
have this issue here in the Netherlands.
Uh-huh.
We have this Dutch politician called Gideon van Meijeren, and there was this trans debate going on in our parliament, and I'm not sure I can't remember the context of the debate, but this guy comes out and he says, "Well, why should we, as a society, change things? Because." According to the DSM, and I'm not sure if this is a Dutch standard, I'm not sure if this is the same DSM as that they use in Germany or in Belgium or in France, but he took this DSM, which is basically the scientific basis for psychology and psychiatrists and everything. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert on this topic, but he showed that he took that book and he stated to the parliament, didn't you guys know that trans issues are considered a mental illness according to the DSM?
That's unfortunate that he said something directly incorrect. Rather, the way you put it in here is your statement that trans people, this is what you gave to the screener, trans people are mentally ill according to the DSM. Is that your claim?
No, that is the claim of a Dutch politician, Gideon van Meijeren.
Oh, so it's just the claim you've accepted and are here to repeat?
No, I didn't accept the claim, but this is the problem. I don't accept the claim, but many people in our country now do.
Great.
And
so, Francis, let me read to you what you told the screener, and you tell me what was wrong with it. Trans people are considered mentally ill according to the DSM. Jimmy is always telling us to follow the science. DSM is the science. Well, that sounds to me when you talked to the screener before you got to me and suddenly realized, fuck, I maybe should have looked up and had the wording here a little bit better. And now that I'm hearing Jimmy is about to make me look as silly, I'm going to back off that I did actually support that claim. So, first of all, what does DSM stand for? Since we're talking about it, Francis, give it to me. Don't Google.
No. Listen, I think you misunderstand me here. I just told you I'm not a fucking expert. I'm not. I'm just.
But you're
I'm
calling
just
to
a
tell me
citizen.
that the DSM is the science that I'm not following. Jimmy always tells us follow the science. DSM is the science. So you're feeling confident. So let's start with what does DSM stand for? I'm going to educate you here. Anything you don't know, just say I don't know, and I'll educate you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Great. It stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Is it still disorders? Yes, it is disorders. Of mental disorders. That is what DSM stands for. Specifically in the DSM, what trans-related diagnosis can you receive? Is being transgender, as you put it, that the politician said, is transgender in the DSM as a mental disorder?
That's what this guy claims over and over again. This guy
just so
is claiming
you know,
that.
It's not.
Yeah.
Gender dysphoria is. Gender dysphoria is defined as the extreme distress one experiences when their gender identity and their gender assigned at birth do not align. Do you know what's funny about that definition is now, as it's evolving, there's also an acknowledgement and understanding, though there is debate more on the social side of this because people who don't belong to an oppressed group often like to take their terms and make it about themselves. You know what? I'm on side cis people can have gender dysphoria. So it's not that trans people are mentally ill. It's that you may have dysphoria, extreme distress, so something along the lines of an anxiety disorder, a depression disorder, if you are having problems. I think I become dysphoric over my man titties. I shouldn't have said it on air because people are now going to mention in comments, but when my man boobs look a certain way, I start to go, I kind of wish they looked more like man's boobs than other boobs. Okay. You can also feel the opposite, gender euphoria, for doing things that are masculine, which I do feel I experience, things that I traditionally associate with masculinity, things like woodworking, horseback riding in certain contexts. Obviously, there's very feminine horseback riding. It's inferior. Anyway, that was a joke. People calm down. So the thing that you have called in not only is being transgender not a mental illness, you don't have to have gender dysphoria as a trans person. But if you do have gender dysphoria as a trans person, what is understood to be the recommendation to mitigate, to reduce, and for some people, eliminate your gender dysphoria to normal levels?
Okay.
There's no elimination, I don't think, entirely.
Right.
What would it be?
You see, the reason that I called in, the reason that you see, I'm Dutch, so I have to try to translate Dutch thoughts into something that you can understand. The reason,
sure, Francis.
The reason that I basically called in, we had a very tolerant country. We had trans people, we had gay people, we had beautiful parties. We went there all together. It was all fucking fine. And now, because of this change in this political spectrum here in Europe, these guys, so like Gideon van Meijeren, like these kinds of politicians are fueling a debate in such a way that our country becomes dangerous for trans people. It became more dangerous for gay people. It became more dangerous for whatever your sexual orientation is. But in the 70s, 80s, 90s, we had this beautiful country, Jimmy, where people had, whether you were trans, whether you were gay, whether you were whatever the fuck ever, it was just, we could all get along. And now, because of this
Francis, I'm going to speak on behalf of the trans people that you clearly aren't talking to. You thought it was beautiful and got along because you didn't see the problems people were having. You didn't see why lack of education was causing more people to be depressed and not even consider whether they were trans, because the access to the resources on gender and transition simply weren't there internationally. You weren't somewhere special because you're Dutch, even if there was more acceptance. But social acceptance is something that hasn't been found anywhere. And this whole thing of and so fighting for those rights is making it more dangerous. That's the nature of fighting for every right so far. If you go back to civil rights issues in our own country, we wouldn't go back and go guys, let's not do the civil rights movement, because doing the movement on the other side, things are better, but during it was more dangerous for black people. Certainly, I'm not going to make that claim. as the white person, as a part of the not member of that group, and be like, but wouldn't it be better if just things were like more peaceful for me? And I think you're doing what white Jimmy might have been tempted by there as a cis person to trans issues in your country. I also think you're swapping and pretending it's a language thing, because it's pretty clear that your notes where you were calling in to call me out for a double standard that you weren't educated on. But that's okay that you want to switch. We can switch to this one as well. Just because you as a cis person were more comfortable in the 70s and 80s doesn't mean trans and queer people were more comfortable.
Yeah, Jimmy, I followed your show for a couple of months now.
Bummer.
And I believe there is this, we have this, you misunderstand what I wrote down.
Okay.
The thing is, no, I'm serious. I'm really serious, because I'm on your guy's side. It's this. I'm not telling. I didn't tell the telescreener. Well, Jimmy is telling us to follow the science, and so so trans people are mentally ill. I'm just stating that many people here in the Netherlands, and especially in the political arena, they don't understand the science, but they use this science to polarize this trans. It's not only transgender. We have the same thing with gays going on in this country, with gay people. So basically, they are using science in the sense that, well, it's in the DSM. Look what it says here, and look what it says here, and they throw those things in a public arena where you have people that are not qualified to even interpret science, right? So what you get is they play with all kinds of emotions, and this made our country much more dangerous than what it was 10 years ago. And I understand what you're saying. Well, if you're fighting for rights, whether it is rights for the black people or rights for this or for that or for whatever group, that things become more dangerous. But you see, 10 years, 12 years, 13 years ago, we would not have people running around attacking trans people for whatever the fuck reason. But now we have those things. We have trans people who, for instance, who want to go to a store or to a party and get stabbed or almost kicked to death on the streets, and it becomes worse and worse. And you see, and this is the thing that I struggle with. I was born in 1968, so I'm a fucking old fart, you know. But I was born in 1968. In the 80s, we had this climate. We could go out with trans, because there were trans people back then. We had many. I knew people who were transformed from man to female and all those, and we never had any fucking issue with each other. But now we have so much fucking issues because of this political establishment pushing this.
Which
this
political
thing.
Establishment pushing? Their side or the opposition?
In our country, we have Forum. It's called Forum for Demo. How do you translate it? We have a great political movement.
I'm just trying to find out who you're blaming when you're saying they're pushing this political movement. Which side are you blaming? The trans people or their opposition?
The fucking opposition.
Great. Put yourself between. I mean, since you're saying that all the things that you wrote in the screening notes and then what the screener took, that's inaccurate, that you didn't say the things that are right in there, they're mentally ill in the DSM, and therefore the DSM, you know, and therefore Jimmy is wrong. He's saying follow the science. DSM is the science. So you didn't say any of that. No, what you're actually asking to say, yeah, but the opposition, they're saying stuff like that. That's getting in the way. They're to blame. So you as a cis person, put yourself between the two. That's the advice. I don't know what else you want, but put yourself between the opposition to trans people and the trans people. Vote, take care of them. Go be an activist. Go guard, you know, story hours or whatever they're showing up to, you go counter protest. That's the answer. Not trans people be quiet again and you'll be happy. Just let them run roughshod over you. Go put yourself in the middle.
I want this fucking political establishment to be quiet and to stop judging people, to stop doing this in the way it happens. And what I said was to the call screener, you know, the DSM is considered science. Now, if they can use science in this way to fuel...
Don't worry, they can't unless they lie.
Well, then they lie. That's what they do.
Great.
But
yeah,
don't succumb to liars.
How many people? Yeah, how many people see that? You see, the danger with this is that you have.
I mean, someone in the comments earlier was saying that they are Dutch and that they have the read that they have on this is that the guy who you're talking about, like, nobody really takes him seriously. So you might be concerned about like a fermenting like alt-right movement that is just now beginning in your country. And like, you just have to smack that shit down, you know, like that's the only thing you can really do is laugh at it. I mean, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
If anybody takes it seriously, and it sounds to me like for the most part, this party has not yet gained very much traction, so it's not taken very seriously. That's the great thing about having so many political parties. But so early on, just like make relentless fun of them. Start making fun of his gross tie or his double chin or something. I don't care. Just like, that's the way to combat it. But I don't think we disagree, though. You know, I think it's just a matter of tactics, right?
Yeah, it's a matter of tactics. That's it. No, I'm. You see, in the beginning, maybe this went a little bit off track because it looks like I'm stating this, but I'm just I just try to explain, you know, what those people are stating and this movement. And if there are Dutch people in the chat, this politician Gideon van Meijeren, many people take him seriously. Many. In our city, many people take this motherfucker seriously, and they also take the Forum for Democracy party pretty seriously. So it's not that these guys don't have that they don't have traction. They have traction, and this is what worries me the most, because we were a pretty tolerant society, but it's now getting so fucking polarized because of these people using science in this way. Do you understand? So it's I'm with you guys, but it's happening in our country and it becomes worse and worse. But I'm going to take your advice.
Can I read you a quote? Can I read you a quote real quick? Sure. I just want to check something. Sure. I just want to call. I just want to read you a little quote. Maybe I'll do a performance actually. Do you mind if I do a little performance? Right. I'll do two voices. One's going to be a lovely woman and the other one's going to be a guy. Hi, you've been connected to the call screener for calling it now. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. All right. Your name is Francis? Yes. All right. What are your pronouns? He, him. All right. And are you calling from the Netherlands? Yes, I am. All right. And let's see. It says, do you want to talk about how trans people are considered mentally ill according to the DSM? Yes. Okay. And do you agree with that? No. Well, you know, I don't have any issues with trans people, but according to our Dutch DSM, trans people are basically considered mentally ill. And we have this Dutch politician opinion from Marin, it's probably, the transcript's probably not spelling it right, that it's basically debating this, and our country now, instead of being, you know, very tolerant with gay people, trans people because of it. Right. Yeah. Right now we only have debate calls. Is this a debate call or are you just trying to have a conversation? Well, I guess it's a debate because Jimmy and others are always telling us, you know, we have to follow the science, but the DSM is the science. And that's the problem the science guy claims. That's right. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and put you through just to make sure there's no background noise on, but you sound good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So interesting. That's the transcript of your call with the screener. Not sure you knew I had that. I thought about playing it, but I don't know that the screener wants their voice online. But I don't know. I think that you are trying. Listen, it sounds like a lot of the things you're saying are true about what side you're on, but it also sounds like the thing you're saying I misunderstood. You were clearly asked whether you were calling to debate or have a conversation, and you said the thing I said you said in the notes, also out loud to the screener. Well, Jimmy and them are always saying follow the science, and this is the science. So will you now acknowledge that the point that you called in on, that it is the science, that you were wrong on that, and you understand better, and you will never repeat that point ever again?
No, maybe it's my way of thinking. Look, you are always telling people, and not only you, but normally every atheist show always tells people follow the science, right?
Correct.
We need to follow the science. We need to follow the facts, right? Now, DSM is considered science, right? Or no?
And you've now had it explained to you why trans is not a mental illness in there. So when you said that you were calling to debate, what was your point of debate?
Well, the problem with this is if the DSM represents if the Dutch politician misrepresents science but is selling it as science, then you will have a lot of people that want to follow the science and start to believe that there are two contradictory things. Goes this, but the society wants this. Two polarized things. Two things that you cannot basically combine with each other.
What was your point of debate? What was your point of, you were asked specifically whether it was a conversation or a debate call. You said it's a debate call because of the science thing. And by the way, to the people saying, drop it, Jimmy. No, because I know a mask when I see it and I can hear the cracks, and I get it that from y'all's, look, y'all don't do it for a living, and I forgive you for your silliness. But there is clearly a mask here, and this is clearly a caller who wants to go back to his cis comfortable life. And were we to take on the way he actually proposed it coming in, we would be actually, and accepting that it was true, we would be getting more toward the way trans people can make society more comfortable for cis people. And we are here to tell him that as a cis person, he needs to be working toward helping trans people. When called out on it, he is trying to shift, and he did mention multiple times that it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. He said it was a point of debate. So, what, Francis, if you want, you can move on, or you can say I was wrong about the point of debate because I was wrong about my understanding of what the DSM is on, or present the point of debate.
No, I don't have a debate, I guess. I don't want to debate with you guys whether or not so this is not, no, it was just
cool. Good. Then we're on the same side, right? And you're going to put yourself between those who would attempt to make trans people less comfortable in society.
Exactly. I'm on that side, but
wonderful.
You know, if nobody talks about this, what happens in the Netherlands, if nobody talks about this, what happens in Europe, and many people stay uninformed, right? So I basically called in to let you know what these guys are doing.
No, that's not what you called in for, but that's okay. That's where we are now.
So yeah.
Thanks, Francis.
No, that's okay. All right. Yeah. Have a nice day.
Goodbye, Francis. Next time can I call you Francis Gender? I just realized that joke was available. It's nothing to do with you. Anyway, Francis Gender's pretty good. All right. Bum.
I think that maybe he was just like, I'm trying to explain the debate or something. I'm trying to think of, just like a positive reason for his call.
I think it's very uncomfortable. And I could hear it at the very beginning. Let's just start with the basics. Define what the DSM is. What does DSM stand for? Luthien, Luthien's on the line, so they can't get rid of that. They're screening at the same time. I think that Francis was uncomfortable when it was like, oh, I did call in to say, I could play I'm not going to. I could play the voice where he's saying they're always saying follow the science, but the DSM is the science. I listened to the note. It's very, there wasn't a lost in translation thing. I think he was embarrassed.
I feel like he was just trying to get in, and he was like, I will say that it's a debate just to get on here because I want to talk to them. Like, that's kind of what it seemed like to me.
I'll send you the voice note. You tell me.
Okay.
It sounds, he sounds very confident. I do think he is saying that I think he started the call thinking the science was against him, but he's like, but trans people should live whatever they want because I don't really care what the science is. If a person wants to live that way, live that way. I don't think he wasn't an ally or anything, but I do think he lamented that cis life has become less comfortable because of trans people, and he wants to go back to because this is why people bring up the 70s and 80s. And this is why I find these are the red flags you hear, the dog whistles you hear, that people in chat are like, let it go. People bring up the 70s and 80s the same reason why white people in America bring up the 50s. Everything was so much better. White and black people got along so much better in the 50s. No, you saw less. They were oppressed more, and they couldn't be loud about it. Like, it is the same thing. So I am not content to ignore the dog whistles, the red flags.
Sure.
And you know, whatever. The chat's going to be full of people also who just, there are going to be people in the chat who just pedantically want me to be wrong about things, which is fine. And they're going to have it. Yeah. They're going to have an issue about everything. No, people love trans people. What are you talking about? Nobody attacks people for trans issues.
The poll every single week.
I also recognize, like I say, red flags. I recognize dog whistles. When you bring up things were so much better in the 70s and the 80s, that is from a deep place of ignorance and a longing for cis comfort, not trans comfort. That's what it is. Just like saying the 50s is a longing for white comfort, not black comfort. Anyway, go on, people. Go on. Don't ignore the 50s, Jimmy. I don't. The Republicans do. What actually happened in the 50s?
The amazing marginal tax brackets. Yas, queen.
Yeah, income inequality certainly wasn't as bad. Let's see. So remember, we've only got a little bit of time left, people. We're going to hard stop your hard stops in 47 minutes, right?
Correct.
37 minutes.
37.
So if you want to call in and make your own point, if you want to call in about debating, or with a point of debate, 33654-32101, including Cole. Cole, why don't you call in and tell me how to do it better? Jimmy's point about things getting worse when fighting for rights is a great one. Oh, sorry. I thought you, I misread it quickly. I thought you said, people have an issue with you attacking for no reason. We don't like when you're being an asshole. Oh, okay. Wait. So Cole does have a point of contention. Great. Call in on that point of contention. I'll talk to you about it. I am content to be the person. Here's what I think happens a lot. And I will describe this as a difference between me and other people, because other people participate in what's called quote unquote polite society. So there's that thing where somebody says like something kind of transphobic around you. It's at a dinner, it's out in public and stuff. It's like, well, I don't want to make the whole group uncomfortable. So I'll just be like, oh, no, I don't think that. Ha 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 ha. That is not me. And you're not watching because that is not me. The reason you watch me is because that's not me. But if you wish that was me, call in. Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. Let's go to where, I'm not going to go to a world where it's like, no, I just ignore the red flags and stuff. But you're welcome there. Are these all, okay, we've got that one screening. In the meantime, we'll quick talk to John in Kentucky. This is certainly a call for Lux. John in Kentucky, you're on the line with Luxander and Jimmy.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All righty. I don't see how you guys don't pull your hair out on those last two calls. Good Lord.
It's too beautiful. I'm not going to risk my hair.
Truly. I'm not going to get all these compliments.
But I have naturally waxed myself. So in a way I have.
Right. So, okay. So I guess my question would be like, what's the goal of the whole like trans movement?
Wow, that's such a broad question. I mean, the goal is, the end goal is basically to have a society that doesn't constantly make our lives worse. So, I mean, I could go into a lot of different individual examples, but very broadly speaking, like we want to live and have rights.
I like the way Arden
I don't know.
but I can't remember exactly how it is. I think she says like the only trans ideology that exists is the idea that we should be able to exist comfortably in polite society.
Yeah, I want to be as miserable as the average person, and that seems fair.
Yeah, it does seem fair. but people are dumb.
True.
Like most
Yeah.
people are ignorant.
People voted for Trump
Like how do you? Right, of course, twice, maybe
3 times.
Yeah,
He won twice.
maybe
yeah,
again
voted
if he
3
can
times.
pull it. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you plan to beat that? To beat ignorance? Seems like a
I mean,
losing battle.
This is one of the ways.
Yeah, this
I
is
don't know.
our
I'm
plan.
kind of yeah. This is our plan is to take calls and change people's minds and like have a platform. I guess. Is there something in particular about the trans movement that you take issue with? Their tactics or something?
No. If anything, no, not at all. No.
I
guess
have a
just
question
wanted
then
to
for
ask
you, John, and it's a genuine question,
Yeah.
not like my usual trapping system. You asked
Oh,
whether or not would the trans movement be better if it wasn't politicized. Could you tell me what a non-politicized, you don't even have to go with trans. If you're more comfortable talking about a movement that you're actively a part of, I don't know what movements you're a part of, how any movement that seeks comfortable, polite existence. I don't even know movement at all, of it, even that doesn't describe that. How could the trans movement be non-political? What would it look like to not be politicized?
Yeah, I don't really know. That's a good question. Like I live in Kentucky. Most people are super religious. I'm not, but I don't go around talking about it because I would expect people to disagree with me all the time, you know? So
Sure, I do talk with religion. That's the other show we do, right? It's
Right, of
I
course.
very much also want to, but so religion isn't not apolitical, right? Religion is inherently so
that's not
political. And so human rights, a trans movement means a movement for rights. Even religious rights. There are many religious rights I would march for, despite the fact that I think religion is destroying society, because I believe in freedom above freedom for all, not freedom for just one person versus everybody else.
I guess I guess not to speak over anyone, but I guess my point is like most people don't seem to really care about the nuance of it. They just kind of go off
Right.
like little slogans that they remember and stuff.
So we have to convince them, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like you're ever going to. There's always going to be the next slogan.
John, do you think trans support is higher or lower than it was 10 years ago?
Higher. It is
Right.
higher.
Mm-hmm. It's because we
Awareness
changed
higher,
people's
for
minds.
sure.
It's not because people
True.
died. I mean, that's probably part of it with COVID and everything, but it's because we are making societal change over time. Like, you know, as an atheist, you can probably appreciate that the non-religious is like the second fastest growing religious group in the United States, second to like the Amish or something, right? Or at least it was the last time I looked into that data. So clearly
I have no
we are doing something. Like we're deconverting people from their radical beliefs, and like that's what we're here to do, is to literally try to de-radicalize people by introducing them to maybe an idea they've never heard of before. And like I empathize with the idea that it can feel kind of pointless, but it's important to remember that people are in an ongoing process when they're deconstructing, and that you might have an argument today that plants a seed that will not sprout until it's like years later, and then you will never know, but maybe that person does end up fully deconstructing. You just have to be willing to like put a little bit of trust in the process that you are making a dent, at least little by little, you know? And that's why I keep doing this. That's my personal philosophy. That's why I do TACUS. You know, and even if I'm not convincing the person I'm talking to, then probably someone who's listening is going to either hear something new or like hone their own arguments or something. So I don't know. I do think it's worth it. And I do think we are making progress. It just feels slow.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't want to. I think I'm coming across as like, yeah, what's the point in you guys doing this? But that's not.
No,
not
you're
what
fine.
I'm saying. I think it's just more that most people are like they're really listening to waiting to talk other than to listen, I guess.
That's so true.
John, as a person who it sounds like now broadly supports trans issues, and you can answer this honestly, it's not going to get a negative judgment, even if it was last week. But as a person who broadly supports trans issues, when was the last time you were apathetic to trans issues? Was it 10 years ago, 5 years ago? How long ago were you apathetic, where it wasn't on your radar, you weren't thinking about it, you certainly weren't voting on it? How long ago?
Okay. Probably, it's 2025, so maybe 10 or maybe 8 to 10 years, I guess, ago.
That's probably better than me. I was probably still mostly apathetic even when I started my YouTube journey, because I didn't really start meeting trans people. It wasn't on my radar. Right. I'd be talking and debating on trans issues. Now,
you're welcome, bitches.
Yeah, 8 years later. Yeah. Lux was one of the first. Yeah, I don't need to win Marjorie Taylor Greene. I need to win mostly apathetic people. And right now there's two ways you can do it. One, with just broad education, and some people find those calls very useful, and we have those calls. They're mostly happening over on the Transatlantic Call-In show. That half of the show is often a little more boring than the other half, because I am of the ilk that is more, convinced by watching someone get humiliated in debate by how bad they are at it. Yeah, I like the debates too, but people need the different sides of it. Some people need the boring educational calls, and some people need the fights. And Takis does both. We try to mostly do the fights on this one because we're less boring than Takis.
Right.
We had a good number of spicy calls today. It was much less boring than usual.
Excellent. Right. I always love to hear that. I don't need to win Marjorie Taylor Greene. I need to win people who were you 10 years ago. And then we want to peel off those other people as well, right? And we want to even get people back to the point of, like the last caller who we did have a point of disagreement on. I wasn't trying to win him to now fully our side. All I wanted was for him to recognize and become uncomfortable with a spot of ignorance he had. And to go like, crap, next time I'm going to form an opinion, I'm going to look up what a DSM is first, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it for having me on.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, where I didn't tell the screener we weren't really pulling. We don't have to put their religious affiliation on this show pretty much ever, really, but that one did have it. And so now we'll go to, I can't tell if the screener or she's doing both, but we'll go to Gwen in Kansas. Gwen in Kansas, you are on the line with Luxander and Jimmy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing okay. I'm doing wonderful. How you two doing?
Just fine. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty okay, all things considered.
Good.
That's good.
Gwen, what's your question, comment, point of debate? What are we at?
So this might be like kind of a different question than you guys get. I don't know. I haven't been watching you guys for super long. Do you think that these types of debates, in the end, do you think they are an effective tool to like help and make change, or do you think, or at least like worry that there might be more of like a backlash or like blowback side effect of just making people angrier and more scared and kind of blowing how scary things are out of proportion?
Obviously, I think they're very. I think they're useful. I think they make things better. I think I identify our side as making better, and us specifically, and I think our opposition does, because I think if our opposition thought if we weren't good at it, I don't get invited on to debate the people even at our same size, and I think there's a reason for that. And I'm not trying to be a dick to the people who do get invited on to a lot of the debates, but even onto their platforms where they can run roughshod, I think it's telling when your opposition avoids engaging you as well, that they're like, I'd rather go back to the bottom of the barrel Fox News kind of liberals that people find and go handle them. I shouldn't say I don't get none, I get none, but I get very few, and it's only, and for the most part, the only people from our network, like some people on our network get invited to the Whatever podcast, which is a highly controlled and visually created, even when those women get on to make them look bad to their audience. And they don't even particularly care if somebody has a moment that they look good because they don't care what audience is going to think they look good. Like, yes, this if you do great over here, feminists will like you, but our audience is still mostly just going to be like, ah, fuck these girls. But again, it's a very, very highly controlled. There's no equality to any of those sorts of things. So, no, I obviously I think it's good. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it unless I guess I was secretly becoming a billionaire this way and super greedy. But I am definitely
making
not.
like $1 billion off of debating random people.
Yeah, those super
multiple
chats just
people
keep
here
flowing
make.
in.
I own the company, and multiple people here make more money than I do.
Also, I apologize if I like accidentally interrupt you. That's just something that I'm bad at in person.
There's a delay anyway, babe. Don't worry about it.
I intentionally interrupt people, so what am I going to do?
Yeah, true.
See, that's one of those questions that I've like asked a couple people, because I feel like, and obviously this show is much more like opposite of mean-spirited, good-hearted, with like the intention. It's because it's not like you're not doing like a Charlie Kirk debating some random scared person and then cutting together all of their foibles and like slip ups to make an epic like owned compilation.
Maybe I should. They do keep winning the elections.
You know that,
I
and
understand
like
that's
get
what
like a
Destiny's
billionaire
doing
donor
now.
or whatever.
Yeah.
My second question.
It's hard to
might be a
get
little bit
billionaire
more
donors when
spicy.
one of your policy position is stopping billionaires from existing, though.
True.
It's just like, I've met some weird rich people. My second question is, and this is a little bit more spicy, do you think that like the queer movement and religion can coexist? Because I myself am a trans woman, and I'm also Christian, and there are like, I think there are a lot of internet Christians who are like, friggin', you know, T words, ruining everything. It's against the Bible, whatever. And you also have, I also met a lot of online queer people who are like, oh, all religious people are evil. Do you think that's a distinction that has to be there, or that there can be some like middle ground?
Okay, by the way, for people in the chat, that was not me saying Destiny's good. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So Gwen, it's not a matter of I think they can. I don't necessarily think they should, but it's like only when you say Christianity does it seem like a harder one to, or Islam, it's a little harder when you're thinking like, how hard is it to be a Muslim trans woman or a Christian trans woman? If you go to other things that are also false and wrong and even discriminatory, nobody asks like, can astrology and queerness coexist? But that's also a bunk religion built on discrimination. They won't call it a religion, but it's a spirituality that is also discriminatory. But most of the people who follow it, generally what humanism they do possess will overwhelm it, with some exceptions. There are people who are straight up bigoted with their use of astrology. Actually, there's kind of a lot. It's surprising how many people you find out are bigoted using astrology to justify their bigotry. But it's really disappointing. But nobody wonders about whether or not you can be, if anything, in some states, it seems like you have to be trans and have astrology. If you're trans, you better believe in astrology. I think
if you want housing.
yeah. If you want to be, you go try and be a Portland lesbian without astrology. That's obviously orientation, but I submit you cannot do it. So obviously, like, it's going to matter. The kind of Christianity is what's going to matter. Could Westboro Baptist Church and trans people coexist peacefully in America? Almost certainly not, since Westboro Baptist Church isn't just believing that stuff in their pews, and even then would be giving that belief to children potentially.
I wouldn't want to coexist with that kind of Christianity anyway.
The scale of how good a person is, honestly, to me, is how much their humanism takes priority. So if your humanism takes zero priority to astrology, then you're probably as bad a person to me as Hitler. But if your humanism takes most priority over your Christianity, you're probably as good to me as while I was trying to come up with as good an example, my brain first went whoever killed Hitler, but that was Hitler. So somebody as good as a person
paradox there
who would kill. Yeah. Hitler in that only that moment when he was murdering that asshole.
Like
he took the
one
W at the
redeeming
end.
quality.
Yeah, there we go. The last thing he ever did is my favorite thing that most people have ever done. And he liked German Shepherds, and so do I. It's nice to have something in common with a despot. Anyway, Gwen, I think that's all I have on the matter, unless Lux does. Otherwise, we're going to try and get one more call before we get out of here.
I'm all good. Thanks for calling, Gwen. Have the leaves started to change, or does it look like you're not getting any fall this year?
Not quite fall yet for me. You two have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Gwen.
You too. Thanks.
Well, Peter in Nebraska, I've been there, the old 308. Peter in Nebraska, you're on the line with Luxander and Jimmy. I even used to have a 307 area code, been to the 308 many times, with the very broad phrase, wants to talk about trans people. Well, are you with them or are you against them, Peter?
I'm trying to figure out where the hell they started coming from out of nowhere.
Oh,
where do you
that's
spontaneously get
excellent
that can mate with themselves, have children that have separate DNA?
Hang on, Peter. Do you want to sit here and act like you, Peter from Nebraska, the man, the myth, the legend, you don't know how a person can mate with themselves? I submit you are a celebrated self-mater. How dare you? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, they're called hermaphrodites.
I see. I see what you're trying to go with. Some sort of reproductive action. So any sort of sexual action that isn't. Do you think that sex is only valuable if it can result in a child, in a baby?
No.
Great. Well, that's how people work. So we're all good there. No one needs to be. First of all, there's no hermaphrodite that can get themselves pregnant. Also, that's not what a hermaphrodite is. Mating with yourself isn't. I think you're trying to sort of kind of suggest about asexual reproduction.
The definition of a hermaphrodite, then. Unless
what do you think the definition of
a
what do you think the definition of a hermaphrodite is?
A hermaphrodite is a human subspecies that is both male and female that can mate with itself.
A hermaphrodite is a human subspecies that can mate with. So if I'm a Homo sapien, if I was a hermaphrodite, what would I be?
What do you mean?
Well, he said I'd be a subspecies. So I'd be a what? A Homo sapien. Well, that's not a subspecies.
Is it Homo sapiens sapiens hermaphrodite? Like,
yeah. Where do I find this in the book?
Being a hermaphrodite, you would be a true transgender then.
Nope, that's also not correct, Peter. So don't go on any trivia shows, Peter. Do you have any questions? Would you like any of these things clarified and corrected? Because being transgender and the concept of being a hermaphrodite are also not related.
No, being transgender now is a social construct.
It never was related to being a hermaphrodite.
Being transgender
Let me just ask you this.
now is a social
Can a
construct.
human actually be a true hermaphrodite? Could a human be that? Let's pretend trans people don't exist. Can you be born a hermaphroditic human?
Yes, it has been recorded very, very rarely.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. Even intersex people aren't referred to as hermaphroditic. The way animals and plants, the certain animals and plants are, it is not possible for you humans to have fully, and I know you weren't aware that this is what it would actually mean. You couldn't have a fully functional male and female reproductive system simultaneously. You couldn't produce both gametes simultaneously. You won't have sperm and eggs simultaneously. The closest you can get is tissue.
It does happen, and doctors
doesn't.
choose to pick.
No.
Doctors pick and choose that
You're describing being
the most
intersex.
dominant one. That
You're
stays.
You're describing being intersex, which is not hermaphroditism.
No,
Yeah.
a fully
Yes.
functioning hermaphrodite can have sex with
Incorrect.
itself and
Yeah, but- okay,
reproduce.
sure. That is not
Because it
possible in
has
human beings.
twin
You guys,
DNA.
okay, hold on. No. Peter, give me a second. You guys fucking mauled all the time about how scientific you are and all this is based in science. You are a moron. Hermaphroditism is being exactly half male and half female. Go look at a picture of a butterfly or hermaphroditic butterfly. It's literally got a black wing on the left and a blue wing on the right. It's not possible for human beings to be hermaphrodites. We are intersex sometimes, but you either have, for the most part, you either have testicles or ovaries. You cannot, for the most part, human beings, like you can have ovotestes, but I don't think that those have viable gametes. So
Correct.
it's not physically possible.
There are 0 documented cases of people having both eggs and sperm, period. Only testicular tissue and ovarian tissues, but never the actual things necessary. So Peter, since you called to talk about trans people. So far, we haven't talked about trans people. We've talked about your sheer non-understanding. How little you know about biology could fill the largest library. Would you like to talk now about trans people?
Nowadays, trans people is not biological; it's all social. They're
It
just
never
all
was.
vying
That's not
for
true
attention
either.
because they've all been turned down by everybody else.
It's also not true. All social, not biological. I don't think you know what those words mean.
Yeah, man.
Luxander here is a trans, and I'm going to say it like that because that's how you would say it. Actually, no, it isn't how you would say it. You'd be adding N's and Y's in there. I have
I
a
do say it
certified
sometimes.
trans with me. Do they come off to you as a non-biological entity?
A man in woman's clothing is just a man in woman's clothing, whether they have a dick or not.
Wow. So
Okay.
Peter, I guess to you, the answer, if I asked, let's just try it. Peter, what's your favorite food?
What do you mean?
What is your favorite food?
Brisket, roast.
See, that's how you answer a question directly. But the way you just answered a question would have been like if I said, hey, what's your favorite food? And you said, I reckon I could fit the remote 7 inches up my ass. That's how far away from the question you answered it was. So would you say that Luxander above me is a non-biological entity?
No,
If they
it's not
have a worship
biological.
kink that could, you think Luxander is
That's
non-biological?
fascinating.
So what? A god? A robot?
Of what?
A god of what? You tell me. How does Luxander exist as a non-biological entity?
What do you mean? Looks like a
You
man
tell
in
me.
women's
You're the one
clothing
who
to
said
me.
that they are not a biological entity.
Either that or a offhanded, ugly woman.
Cool.
Peter, pumpkin eater. You're really, really bad at this, Peter. Hey, when a trans person takes testosterone, does that only socially work on their system? Does it just socialize with the cells, or do biochemical reactions happen?
Oh, no. We need our women as women.
So 9 inches up your ass is how far the remote would fit? Because we're going back to the not answering the questions directly, and I'm just trying to get to the direct answers here. Peter, when a person takes hormones, do the hormones just socialize?
The hormones they don't, if people take hormones they do not need, yes, it does show up.
Hang on, I'm seeing if I smell burnt toast. It's a sign somebody's had a stroke, and I want to make sure I'm not the problem here. Goodness, what other point would you like to make, Peter? Sorry, what's that, Peter? Were you calling me some kind of idiot? That's what I thought I caught on the tail end.
No.
Trans people aren't biological.
You're not having a problem there. You're not smelling burnt toast. I'm a redneck in overalls just fucking with you.
Okay. So do you have an actual point to make there, Peter? I do like the cop out of like, oh man, I'm looking real dumb here. So I'm going to pretend this was the plan all along, Peter.
It really is.
I didn't even want to seem smart.
Transgender really doesn't work as a social construct.
Why not?
Everybody's been trying it before. Drag is drag, no matter what you cut off, no matter what you fucking strap on.
You know what's crazy is you don't have to cut off or strap on anything to change your name from Greg, Peter. Like you can literally just, Peter, is your first name actually Peter in real life?
Very unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Your name's literally a euphemism for a cock. Okay, so Peter, if you had called in and said, my name is not a euphemism for a cock, it's Richard, which would have been hilarious. If you had said that instead and I called you Richard, would everything have been fine?
For
or would
what?
some tremendous offense have been committed because you're not really Peter? Biologically, you are Peter and you're not Richard. Where do I find that you are Peter in your chromosomes, by the way?
Shit. I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny that you said it's not a social construct and then you went with a name, which is literally a social construct. It's actually more of a social construct than virtually any example we could give. So your example of something that is not a social construct was the most social construct of them all. Peter, my name's not legally Jimmy. Can you believe that?
Mine is Wiggly Peter.
What's mine? Look at me, because you can always tell. Just look at me. What is my name just by looking at me?
Forehead.
See, you got it wrong. And they say they can always tell. Peter, why are you making your dry pee-pee other people's problem? If you're not going to make a genuine point, I'm not either. Do you want to try it's always what I ask about. Why do they always hang up after I ask about their dry pee-pees? It seems to me I may have hit close to home. That's like the ninth person I said, why are you making your dry pee-pee other people's problems? And that's when they hung up.
That's funny.
And they're like, which it shouldn't even be that dry with the amount of lotion you go through. Talking like
That's
you
true.
don't know
You
how
got to be
people
silky
mate with
smooth by
themselves.
now.
Jeez. All right, let's talk to
gosh.
William in Tennessee. William in Tennessee, you're on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. Hello, William.
Oh, good evening. Thank you so much for taking
Good
my call, Jimmy and
You're welcome.
Alexander. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Very formal. You sound fancy.
Oh, very fancy.
Wonderful. What point do you have for us, William? Point of contention, question, where are we at?
Yeah, I was actually just going to have a conversation with you because I was actually raised in a white nationalist religious kind of cult. And
Mormonism?
I want to let people... No, not Mormonism. Extreme Southern Baptist, onward Christian soldiers kind of stuff.
New Independent Fundamentalist Baptists or just like an IFB cult or what's that?
Well, it's an independent Baptist church in the middle of nowhere in Alabama. And this cult still has people. And, they have 14,000 plus acres where they literally train with weapons and this, that, and the other. Tennessee has a gigantic white nationalist city that they're trying to establish. They're calling it a chosen community or a planned community. And they're only letting, Nazis in, pretty much.
Do you know that, is there a broader organization named how the Steven Anderson version of that is the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist? The ones who own the 14,000 acres, those people that are training with all the guns, I want to go talk about how small and dry their penises are. Would you be able to direct, how do I most effectively make fun of them?
I just sit there and just I speak loudly all the time because back in the 90s, I was one of those, curb stomping, ass kicking gay rights dudes where I always thought that we needed good people of conscience and empathy.
Do you know the name of their cult leader? Sorry, I just really want to figure out which sect this is for after the show. This isn't important for now. Do you happen to know what the name of the cult leader is? Like who's at the top?
I did at the time, yes.
Oh, we don't know who it is now?
I don't. When I came out as gay, my entire family pushed me out of the community at 15. And so for 30 plus years, I haven't spoken to my mom, dad, brother, sister, and
who was it back then?
His name was Pastor Edsel Robinson, I believe.
Edsel Robinson? That name's so gay. Oh my God,
man! You're taking me down a stroll down amnesia lane. So sorry about that.
How are you gonna have an anti-queer cult with a name like Edsel Robinson? That's a person who's like, dude. A first name like that, your kid perpetually has a broken, flailing wrist. Gross. Oh my God, Edsel. So gay. I'm just starting the mocking now. Anyway, go ahead, William.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, for me, it's kind of crazy because I live in a military town right now, and like you'll go on Grindr or whatever, and these guys are like looking for trans people all the time, and I'm like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like they're sitting there like pushing down, and then they're like but wanting to hook up. So for me, I just see people here in Tennessee and in the South, they see me as a walking, talking sex act.
So if you're gonna go on apps to fuck, that's exactly what you're like, William. I'm not trying to victim blame you, but you're on Grindr. I am a queer man who doesn't go on Grindr because it's too much.
I go on Grindr to read the profiles, right? The articles.
Sure. You really like
you're
the
trying to practice
reviews.
your copy editing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like there is this undertone of that, gay people and lesbians and trans people are all walking, talking sex acts, and that's really the only way they look at us.
I can't find Etzel or Ethel. What was the Etzel, right? Like Etzel?
No, like the old car, Edsel, I believe.
Edsel. Edsel. Okay, I just want to find this guy.
I'm talking about a very small community. About 400 people is where my hometown was. So pretty much everybody there was, in this one church, and it became like a, just whatever the preacher said was literally, gospel. And so we just kind of did whatever they said, and my parents and everybody else just kind of surrendered their brains.
Will you send me like whatever you have? Just contact at QAnon.com. I want to know about the because I can't find, even with the 14,000 acres thing, I can't seem to find anything about what you're talking about. And I love finding cults to shit on. It's kind of like, it's why people call me Mr. Pumpkin sometimes. It's kind of a deep cut, but it's like my favorite thing I ever did. So William, if you can send me that info and then just go ahead and give your last thought here, because we do have to actually close out the show.
Absolutely. It's actually a question for Luxander. How can we better support the trans community?
I'll answer that. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, one of the primary things is to financially support trans people. Obviously, like a lot of people are broke right now. So maybe you don't have $5 to pitch to somebody's GoFundMe. If you don't have $1 to pitch in, then offering your couch for somebody to crash on as they're on their way to someplace safer. Just sharing and promoting those fundraisers, sharing and supporting our content as well. A lot of trans people have to be self-employed because we have a hard time keeping jobs, because a lot of us are also disabled on top of being trans. So I appreciate when people watch my content and they share it and everything, both here on the line and Jimmy Snow's channel and on my personal channel, Luxander Real, where I talk about movies. So yeah, I mean, basically just support us financially is kind of the bottom line, because we are dramatically underemployed compared to the average people.
I resisted as you were listening. Reason why trans people are underemployed. I didn't add ADHD.
Yeah, people with ADHD get like the 17% less earnings over their lives. So yeah, I'm multiply disabled. Thanks for giving me a job,
I was just
Jimmy.
going to joke because I think like all of the no, I don't know that Dr. Ben has ADHD.
I don't think so. Well, no, yeah, he said he took his ADHD meds today, so he does.
So literally all the trans people who work for me have ADHD.
Yeah.
Which
And
I think we can broadly just say that that's, now we know why. Now we know it's the Tylenol and the ADHD. It's causing you to be trans, frankly.
Well, actually, Tylenol supercharges my ADHD. Wow, my autism too.
That's weird.
Nice.
That is not my experience with Tylenol at all. Now, I have some fun ones with Benadryl, but we don't have time for that. All right, people. Thank you so much, William. We got to let you go there, but we'll maybe talk to you again another time.
I would love that. Have a good night, Luxander. Have a good night, Jimmy.
Bye, William.
You too.
So fancy. You already know this was Calling It Now. I wonder if this is going to get us a copyright thing. I doubt it. Go follow Luxander over on their show. They are a dirtbag leftist just like Jimmy Snow.
That's true.
That's it. Fade out. The black line. Black. Just fade to black.